Hey everyone, so next month I will be starting a new CK2 Game of Thrones series, and we're going to be using the new version of the mod 1.3, and that obviously is fully compatible with the Reapers 2 DLC. And one of the major features here are the game rules that you can set prior to starting a new game. And today we're not going to be playing anything. I just want to go over the game rules for my next series that will be starting next month, and also probably the game rules that I will be using for most of my series. So let's get started. Now in the beginning, there's not really much that I have changed. I think the first thing that I changed, let's have a quick look. I did change it already, so that's why I need to go back in. So yeah, the first thing I will change is culture conversion. Now in the default one, I think is, I'm not sure, I think the default one is that it's off. That culture will never change. And vanilla, you know, culture changes very quickly. So I just went with rare. I do want culture to change, but it doesn't have to be very quickly. So yeah, there we go. That's the first change I've made. The second is concerning adventurers. I think they have been on normal. I just found that a little bit much, so I did tone that down to rare as well, because these claimant and raiding adventurers, they're often very weak. So they're not even like a real threat, they're more a nuisance, so I don't really like to have them all that much. What else have we got? We got, right, so the next one, that's one I've already talked about with the regular Reapers 2 series, assassination. Yes, I'm definitely gonna go with direct action. So in addition to murder plots, we also have the diplomatic action to have people assassinated, and that means in CK2 Game of Thrones, you now have 3 ways, or I will have 3 ways to kill people. We'll have the faceless men, or the sorrowful men, we will have the plot to kill someone, and we will have the assassination. And I guess we'll have the intrigue option, but you know, that's just another one. But yeah, so that's gonna be really cool, and that's something I just really like. It's still, I don't think it's as overpowered as people think it is. It is if you're like really rich. But even then, there's a chance of failure, and it costs a huge amount of money, depending on who you want to kill, so I think that's really cool. And, you know, as always, I will not overdo it if it, you know, doesn't suit the roleplay. But yeah, so that's the one thing. The next one is right here, dueling. I have decided to go from default to restrictions, so therefore we no longer need any reason to duel someone, so we don't have to pick the war focus or whatever it was, but they still must be a healthy and valid target. And I just think, once again, that makes sense. It helps out with the roleplay so that we can duel people that we like to duel. So next up, we'll have the release prisoner after punishment. This is something I have turned off. As you can see, in default it is on. I simply, you know, I just want to have these, I really want to play out these cruel characters, these torturers and impalers, where you can really castrate and blind someone without them being released. Because that doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, turning that off makes me kind of happy to play my next cruel character. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. Next one we'll have the this is all the same. I like it the way it is. Next one are the non-lore invasions, such as the Brindled Men, the Yellow Emperor, the Clansmen, and some Islanders. I do like them, but I did decide that we're gonna put that on rare simply because it, you know, they just like the raiders, adventurers, it doesn't really make much sense. Obviously it's not canon, it's not lore, so I decided we're just gonna have that on rare. It can happen, but it shouldn't happen all too often. The next one is dragon hatching and taming. I turned that up from I think the normal one to hard. I think Valyrian only is a bit harsh, but hard definitely makes sense because it was very difficult, even for Targaryens, to tame and especially hatch dragons, so it shouldn't be all that easy. And I hope that this will also turn down the success chance of the AI characters, because it's very annoying to see these random courtiers end up with riding Balerion the Black Dread. I really don't like that, but we'll see how much that helps there. Next up, what do we have next? We have, right, the dual outcome randomness. So this used to be on normal. So basically, a formidable fighter had an 80% chance of winning against a trained fighter if all else is being equal. And you could turn that up to having a 98% chance, which I think is very high. I think that, I mean, it could make sense technically, a formidable fighter, if he has, you know, the same things, he should win most of the time, but I decided just we're gonna go with a good 90% of winning. You know, there's always a randomness to battles, so I think 10% randomness, I guess that's fine. I guess we can go with this. So yeah, that's the next thing I've changed. Then I turned on the abdication. Once again, this is simply a roleplay thing. If I feel like my character would abdicate, then, you know, why not be able to click that button? Next is a big thing, actually, colonization cost and time. I'm naming these two things together because they kind of, you know, that kind of, well, they work together in a way. So I made sure that the colonization cost is going to be more expensive than usually is. So normally it's 1,000 gold to start a colony. Now it's going to be 1,600. However, we'll have, instead of the normal time it takes for colony to grow, we now have it much faster. So we're paying more money, but we'll have faster colonies. This is simply something I personally like. I guess it's just personal preference here, but it also makes sense, because if you have more money to pump in, if you have more people you can send in, and well, all these kind of things, then you should be able to make your colony grow faster. That's something I noticed in my Sentinel playthrough. You know, the Old Stones thing, that took a while, that's fine, but once we were king and we were trying to rebuild Summerhall, why did it take so freaking long? We literally had the entire 7 kingdoms to work for us if we wanted to. So we really should be able to speed up the process there. So that's what I went with. And this is actually going to be quite important for our new series, for the new series that I will start next month. Now, I don't want to actually say it here, but maybe some of you can guess what I want to play as. Okay, the next one is the battlefield dual occurrence. Basically, I made this more frequent simple because I like to have these battlefield duels. It just makes it more fun to see these two armies fight. And then there was one last thing, and that was Dynastic Stability that I've turned on. So that basically just allows characters to adopt the dynasty of an ancestor when they gain a title if the ancestor held it in the past. Now, I hope that this will not mess up too many things. I've seen that some Baratheons will turn into Targaryens. I hope that does not happen. If that does happen, then I guess I will have to turn it off. But we shall see. I think that is especially great for like houses in the Vale, like House Harding becoming, or Harry becoming an actual Aaron. That would be kind of cool, and other things as well. So I technically like it. We'll have to see how it turns out in the game. But yeah, those were all of the rules. I know that's a long time, not everyone likes it, which is why I decided we're gonna have a separate video for this. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.